Good morning and welcome to Godly Play. It's so good to see you this morning. Come, join the circle. I wonder who you've got with you this morning. I'm sure it's been an exciting couple of days. Lots of people that you're seeing, maybe by Zoom, maybe in the driveway, all sorts of ways. Maybe you've been telephoning. Anyway, it's good to have you here. So today, I'm getting ready in a little different way. So I've got my table in front of me. So it looks a little different, but everything is still the same. All the parts are there. I'm here and you're here. So welcome. You ready? There was once someone who said such wonderful things and did such amazing things that people began to follow him. And as they followed him, they wondered who he was. And they couldn't help themselves. They just had to ask. And one of the times when they asked him, he said, "I am the light." Let's enjoy the light of the Christ candle. I see the love of God in you, the light of Christ comes shining through, and I am blessed to be with you, O holy child of God. But this light didn't stay in that one place and in that one time, because he changed the light. So it could be in all times, in all places, in this time, and in this place with us. Watch as I change the light. Ooh. This light is just filling this room, and it's going through so it can fill your space. So wherever we are together in godly play, this light will be with us. So here's our calendar. You can see we've just come through all these green and growing days after Pentecost. There's Pentecost way over here. And we have been through the season of Advent, and now we're in this day of pure celebration, the mystery of Christmas. It's a time for the color white. And our story today is the mystery of Christmas. This is like a parable, but it's bigger than a parable. It's the biggest parable of all, the wonderful impossible. It shows the incarnation, how God became a baby. And today I want to show you the whole story. Parts of the Christmas story are not told very often, but they all need to be told, even the sad parts. There are even two births in the whole story. One is the birth of Jesus, and the other is the birth of his cousin John, the one we know today as John the Baptist. In this story, we're using some pictures that are very, very old. They come from the 14th century. So think of how many years ago that is. We're in the 21st century now. And these were painted on the walls of a chapel in Italy by a painter called Giotto. And they were painted right into the fresh plaster so that we can still see these pictures today. The story's going to be told with Giotto's pictures. Time for the color white, but you can see this is a big story and there's not going to be room to lay them out. So today I'm just going to tell them one at a time and you can remember. The first part of the story is the Annunciation. Look. Do you see what's happening to the Mother Mary? This is the Annunciation. the angel Gabriel is announcing to Mary that God has chosen her to be the mother of God. Do you see Mary? Do you see the angel? They have the same colors, but the angel has wings. Mary was scared, but she was happy. She was stunned, but very blessed. The Visitation. You might have to remember that one. Mary was a lucky girl because she had an older friend to talk to. It was Elizabeth. She went to visit her cousin Elizabeth. Elizabeth was much older, maybe even old enough to be Mary's mother. When Mary came close to Elizabeth and greeted her, something wonderful happened. Elizabeth felt the baby inside her move when he heard Mary's voice. She said something like this: "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the baby you are going to have. When you spoke, the baby within me jumped. Something wonderful is going to happen with your baby and with mine too." When Elizabeth said that, Mary began to sing a song people call the Magnificat, because it begins, "My soul magnifies the Lord." Look at the halos. These are gold circles of light around some of the people. They are the holy ones. The artist used real gold in his paint, or beat the gold very, very thin and pressed it into the paint and plaster to make these gold halos. In this picture, the ones with halos are Mary and Elizabeth. See how Mary is. Look how old Elizabeth looks. The artist wanted us to remember that Elizabeth was too old to have a baby, and was old enough to be a really wise and good friend to Mary. Wait, let me finish the story. This is the part of the story that people often leave out because there's no picture for it. It's about the other baby that was born. Elizabeth's husband, Zachariah, was a priest. It was his time to work at the temple, so he went inside to burn the incense and to pray. While Zachariah was at the altar, he glanced over to his right, and there was a bright light. "Don't be afraid," the angel said. Angels are messengers from God, and they can be scary, but the angel said, "Don't be afraid. I bring you good news. You and Elizabeth will have a baby." "But we are too old," Zachariah said. And that was the last thing he said. The angel took away his words. It's not a good idea to argue with an angel. The angel then told Zachariah what the baby's name was supposed to be and disappeared. Mary stayed 3 months with Elizabeth and then went home to Nazareth. Elizabeth had her baby. Friends came to help her. And when the baby boy was born, they all wanted to name him Zachariah after his father. Zachariah shook his head, no, and then wrote, "The baby's name is John." When they named the baby John, Zachariah could speak again. It was then that he said his prayer. It's called the Benedictus, because it's a poem or song of praise that begins, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel." He was so happy. The Nativity. I think you'll remember that one too. Then Mary's baby was born. That's why this is called the Nativity, which means the birth. See how the Mother Mary is lying down? She's awake and happy. But Joseph is asleep. The baby is wrapped in strips of cloth. These strips are the swaddling cloths or clothes you hear about in the story. Look at the angels. They are so happy. They are flying all over and singing, "Gloria in excelsis." You may have heard this song in church. It sings, glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill among all the people. The presentation in the temple. This is another part of the story that's often left out. It's called the presentation. After a while, Mary and Joseph took their new little baby to the temple in Jerusalem. It was the custom to present a new baby there to celebrate its name and to dedicate the baby to God. When Mary and Joseph took the baby into the temple to be dedicated to God, an old man named Simeon came up and looked at the baby. He took the baby in his arms and said, "Now I can die in peace." What was he talking about? Well, when Simeon was younger, God told him that he would not die before seeing the Holy One who was coming and would change everything. That day, Simeon knew Jesus was the one he had been waiting for. Then old Anna came up and looked at the baby. She saw that this was the Holy One too. She gave thanks to God and told everyone in the temple what had happened. Simeon is holding the baby. Mary is still holding out her arms. Joseph is bringing 2 birds to the temple. That was the custom in those days. Here's old Anna. She loved to be in the temple as much as she could be. I don't know why she doesn't have a halo. Look at her coat. At first it looks a little brown and old, but if you look closely, it seems to be all gold. When old Simeon held the baby, he said a prayer we remember and sometimes sing. It begins, "Lord, now lettest thou thy servant depart in peace." The adoration of the Magi. The 3 kings, the Magi, the wise ones, finally appeared. They were late. Every year they are late. They are adoring the baby. That means they are just standing there and looking at the baby and enjoying him. They also brought presents. Look at the star. This is the wild star that they have been following. The artist didn't know very much about camels. He knew they had long necks, a hump, and long legs. But look at their faces. They look more like donkeys. See their long ears? That doesn't matter. We still know what Giotto was trying to paint. And this is a part of the story that's left out often too. And it's no wonder people do not tell this part. It is so sad. It's called the Massacre of the Innocents. The 3 kings followed the star to the land where Jesus was born. And when they came into the land, they went to see the king, King Herod, in Jerusalem. When King Herod heard them say they were looking for a baby king, he was very interested. He did not want that baby to grow up. Herod wanted to be the only king in the land. "Come and tell me when you find this king," he told the Magi. "I want to come and worship him." Herod was not telling the truth. He wanted to kill the new king. The 3 kings, the wise men, did not tell Herod. They went home by another way. They were very wise. But Herod did not forget. He asked his scholars to look in the scriptures and find where it said the king would be born. They told Herod that the place would be Bethlehem. Herod sent his soldiers there, and they killed every baby boy they could find who was 2 years old or younger. It was a terrible thing. The mothers and fathers were full of grief. You can see that many of the babies have already been killed. The soldiers took them right away from their mothers. No one really looks happy in the picture, not even Herod. Look at the mother's eyes. The artist tried to make them look very, very sad. Do you see how long and narrow they are? Such a sad time. I guess the story's over then, isn't it? No, because the baby Jesus did not die in Bethlehem. An angel came to Joseph in a dream before the soldiers arrived. The angel told Joseph to take his little family to another country. They fled far away to the land of Egypt. Mary and the baby rode on the donkey, and Joseph led the way. So, that's the whole story. Wonderful, impossible. I wonder what part of this story you think is most important. I wonder what questions you might have. And I wonder who you're going to ask. Please go and ask your questions. So thank you for coming to the circle today and being with us in godly play on this day of pure celebration. And now for the blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Thanks for being in the circle. See you next time. Bye.